Hey, everybody, Mark Herman, aka LA Bengals fan on most of the major platforms, and I'm joined here as always with superfan Devin Circus and Jake Circus of the Jake Circus podcast. And this is the Week 11 recap and our bye week show of Jungle Talk. And yeah, I know it's um so Heath and I, well, before I forget, if you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It's all we ask. Support the channel, hit the thumbs up, helps us out with the YouTube analytics. And Jake does some amazing podcasts. The man who gave you the Kansas money line last week picked the upset over BYU. Tell them where they can hear you because you do some great podcasts, including a gambling podcast.
Yep, Jake Circus podcast on Spotify had a really good week last week. The only loss we had in college football was San Jose State against Boise, who threw a pick six with under a minute to go to
Yeah.
lose by 21. So that was our only loss. But yeah, KU got it. And little spoiler, we're going back to the well for our pick this week, Mark. I think those Jayhawks are going to play some spoiler down the stretch this season.
All right. No, it's
I like that.
you speak it. We'll get into this when we talk about the bye week section, but the Bengals may be a spoiler team. That may be our role this season. So, but we'll get to that in a second. So Heath and I went to the game on Sunday. It really enjoyable. SoFi, such a nice place to see a game. Tailgating was nice. Hooked up with Bengal fans, talked to them. Everything was fine until the game started, and they didn't come out of the tunnel for the first half. Tough first half to watch. I'm sure it was just as tough on TV. I was surprised at how many Charger fans there were. When I go to yeah. Can you say something? I didn't.
Oh, no, no. I just
Oh,
said I
there.
heard that. Go ahead, because I got
Yeah,
something to
yeah.
add.
I expected us to be half the stadium because when we went to State Farm Field last year, we were half the stadium. Vegas, we were more than half the stadium. We had a really good showing at the Super Bowl. I really expected us, and the Charger fans we were only about a third of the stadium. So we could be heard. The team did turn to us, and when they had their big comeback, and when they got to only being down one touchdown, some of the players were looking at our side because we were by their corner. I was at the 20-yard line, but it was like I said, the energy was there. It was one of those games I thought we should have won it. We'll go into reasons why. I chalked this up right up with the Ravens and the Chiefs losses. This is one we let get away again. So, what was your takes? Yeah, I mean, you guys got to see. You guys get more commentary, more replays. I've one beef. If it's a close play or it's a great play by the Bengals, it is not replayed on the screens.
Well,
So
that's like in any stadium in any
I know,
sport.
but it's like you know, put it some. It can't just be when you hit T Higgins in
You'll
the end
never get
zone or
that.
it's just not replayed. So
But that's like that with any sport at any stadium. The one thing I will add on the fans is, look, Harbaugh's obviously changed the culture there, done a great job. I think it started, you saw him putting his stamp on that team when they got rid of all of their receivers. They got rid of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams.
yeah,
And everybody thought it was a no-brainer. They were gonna draft Malik Neighbors. And they did tell a cool story that Harbaugh brought in Joe Alt and Joe Alt's dad. And, they went on and on about that meeting. And Harbaugh put his stamp on his brand of football when they drafted a lineman at 5 instead of a playmaker. And he's getting enough out of Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnson. Ladd McConkey looks great, who they took in the third round, which, by the way, I read today, they used the pick that they traded Keenan Allen to move up to get Ladd McConkey. He's done a lot for that organization. He's put his stamp on it, and they are starting to show out. I will add, Jake and I both noted it, looked at each other at the same time. You could very audibly hear in the second half, Chargers fans obviously were sitting on their hands through the broadcast. You could audibly hear Bengals fans, and you could very audibly hear the T chants when that guy, I forgot his name.
yeah.
No, he
Oh
had
no, we were yelling T. He had a great game.
he had a great game. I'll give him his props. You know what? Fuck it, sign him. Let's go. But you could hear the T chants through the TV when he had reception. So just throw that out there because I know you didn't hear that because you were at the game.
Yeah, no, and when they were chanting defense, we were chanting "Who Dey," so we tried to drown them out. And on our side of the field, we could hear, all we heard was the "Who Dey," but I know the stadium was chanting defense. I will say something: Charger fans were they're cordial. They're not
They're
abusive
always
fans.
nice. They need
Yeah,
some
it's was it, and I can't tell you how many times people said to me, "Leave us, you guys are so much better than your record," and I was like, "Yeah, it's just been kind of one of those years." It was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sick of hearing that. It's as we dive in, the one thing that it's been it's been kind of comedy to look at on Twitter all season, but now I've moved to, it's like I'm going through the 12 stages of grief or depression or
Yeah,
whatever you
exactly.
call it. I'm in the anger stage. All the Joe Burrow has done this and that, and they're 4-7, and Joe Burrow MVP. If they have the 20th ranked defense, it's like people tweet the one play in each game that could have us 9-2 right now. It's like I can't even read that anymore. It angers me, and I'm just I don't even know if I'm pissed off. It's just frustrating, and a good slap in the face reminder of what it's like to be a Bengals fan.
Yeah, I get this show is therapeutic for me. I started, for many of you know that I started on another channel representing the AFC North, and I was one of the Bengal guys. And when I had to deal with all the Marvin Lewis mishaps, I found it very therapeutic to talk about it, and I actually felt better after recording. I didn't realize it, so I mean, it's proof therapy works. But I kind of had to stew on this for a couple days. Usually, we get it right after the game, and Devin, you'll even say when we're done recording, go, yeah, I feel a little better. It's just you kind of get it out, and but this was just another one. We'll get into some of the details of what I saw, and we'll see if you agree about how the last couple drives were managed. Some play calling there. Oh hell, let's jump in right now. I mean, we have a minute 30 or so on the clock, right? Two timeouts where we tried the long ball to Chase, which was right in front of us, by the way. It was right about the 25 yard line on the Chargers, on the Bengals side of the field, and about a foot, past him. He didn't catch it.
Just
And
missed.
then Chase goes off for second down, and he doesn't come back for third down. And they kind of rushed the play and tried this, just this quick screen to Chase Brown. That was a critical play. I mean, just
Yeah. Can I jump? Oh, sorry. Go
oh no,
ahead.
go ahead. I was just shocked. I'm standing there looking, and Chase is on the sideline, and I'm like, on this third down play, I can't believe Chase isn't in there. You call a timeout. I mean, we get a first down there. We go ahead and run the clock down, and either we kick it and make it and win, or we go to overtime. The Chargers don't see the ball again. I mean, that was just you have two timeouts. I don't know what were they saying on TV, because obviously at the stadium, we don't get that.
They didn't talk about that on the broadcast. I don't know if I remember seeing him on the sidelines, but not reacting. Tony Pike, who former Bearcats quarterback that does a lot of Cincinnati podcasts, did a breakdown that I watched on Twitter yesterday. And I don't know if he was just gassed from running the route or the play clock. He wasn't going to get back in time, so they just kept him there. But the other interesting thing is it wasn't like they were ready and had a play and it wasn't enough time for him. They were scrambling to get set and got the ball snapped with 1 second left on the play clock. You're right. They had two timeouts left. Yeah, it was second down. The Chase play was on first down. He was out for second down and back in for third down. But yeah, they should have called timeout and got their ducks in a row.
He wasn't back in. He
Yes,
wasn't back.
Yeah,
So,
yes, he was. He was back in for third down.
So I just, like I said, it's a critical play. Your season, the game. I mean, it's such a big play. Call the timeout, regroup. I just, and then in typical Bengal fashion, when something doesn't go right and the defense gets thrown out there, money. By the way, didn't James Rapian say that it's now clearance rack Mac or something? He gave him a new nickname. Yeah, no more, because I think he's claiming he coined the money Mac. But I don't know if that's true or not. But if he is, kudos, whatever. But he's now saying, no, we're going to substitute clearance rack Mac from now on. And but
so the third down that you guys are talking about, the third down was the one that went to Chase. This was before the
Chase
missed
Brown,
field goal.
right?
No,
No,
Jamar
second
Chase.
went to Chase Brown when
It was
Jamar was off the field. I don't remember what the third down play was.
it was an incomplete pass to Jamar that was on. I'm watching it right now. It was on the
Oh,
outside. It was on
okay.
his outside
Yeah.
hip, and then the second down play was the one that Chase Brown dropped. It would have been like third and
Right.
four.
Right.
Chase Brown just dropped
Yep.
it.
Yep. That's
Um,
it. That's the sequence. He came back on the third down play.
Okay. All right. So like I said, that play was so critical. I don't understand why we didn't use a timeout, set up exactly what we want. I mean, literally, first down, you're gonna at least at worst get overtime, and you get Money Mac or Clarence Rack Mac was fine if he had two chip shots.
Pearson. You can call him Pearson.
McPherson. So he was fine if he had chip shots, but anything outside, it was like a golfer. For those of us that golf, there are days where you're just pulling everything, and there are days where you're not. I won't call it a slice, but you have a fade to your ball that you can't get rid of. You actually line up to address it because you can't rather than
Well,
fade it, play it. So,
he
but
duck hooked the second one.
what's
The
that?
first one, whether he just lined it up too close to the left goalpost, that was a little draw, a little fade on that. The second one, he freaking duck hooked. The
Yeah.
second
Okay.
one was awful.
the second
Yeah.
one never had a chance. I mean,
Right.
I mean, he's missed extra points this year. I mean,
No, it's
not
been a
good.
weird year. I'm not excusing this at all because this is a game where McPherson cost us the game. Okay, this Zach's play calling, I think, or his clock management late, and McPherson were the reasons why we lost this game. Um, After the comeback,
I don't know. I don't
but
know about. I don't know about that. Yeah, it would have been nice to be up 3 or even 6, but look, they still came down and scored a touchdown. Obviously, that's not linear. You can't do that.
well,
But McPherson is not why we lost. He's one of the reasons why we didn't win, is
right.
how I would put it.
Okay, all right. I like that. No, no, no. Word selection is important, and I like the way you just stated it. So I'm going to go with that. But it was so typical that once our defense goes back out there and felt like we should have already won the game, then we give up the big pass play and the big run to Dobbins. It was like, it was just like Derrick Henry's run. You ball him up the whole game, and then you miss the field goal, and then he peels one off for 40 yards or whatever that run was. It was just so, I was like, man, that's just so this season, and that's just so this season for the Bengals. You just shake your head.
And- yeah, and on those same lines, it was the drive before they scored the touchdown. I believe it was I'm in sequential order. Chargers had third and like 19. The Bengals went into a pathetic, submissive, passive defense with like 3 linemen,
Yep.
3 linebackers, and 5 safeties at the line of scrimmage or at the first down marker. At the snap, the 5 safeties and cornerbacks went even further. McConkey was wide open right at the stick. I could have completed that pass to him. And we get the gift of all gifts that Herbert airmails him, that my buddy who didn't have a dog in the fight says to me, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar would have had to jump for it and wouldn't have caught it. We
Right.
get that break of all breaks. We then go 3 and out. And they got the ball at the 16-yard line and went 84 yards on 4 plays. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not going to shame the defense. The defense did a freaking unbelievable job for 29 minutes in the second half.
Yeah.
Hats off to them. But only so many chances you can give a team, and we gave them too many.
Yeah. Well, it was and I watched in the first half. I don't know if they showed it on TV, but Hendrickson, he came out the field a couple times, just absolutely pissed. Lou tried to calm him down. Zach walked over to him and kind of reached out to him, and he smacked his hand away. I don't know how much of this gets covered, but, obviously we're on that side of the field watching it. But there was some definite animated stuff going on the Bengals sideline, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But they were getting run over in the first half.
Yeah, the broadcast didn't touch that, but everybody made a huge deal out of it on Twitter. Oh, Zach Taylor's lost the locker room. Look at what Trey did. That's bullshit. That's a warrior,
Right.
being a warrior, pissed off. And by the way, the play that he was pissed at was that garbage roughing the passer.
Oh, yeah.
When he had the collar. Now, I still say that they didn't flag him for a horse collar. We all know that a horse collar is legal in the pocket. I think the flag came because when he had the horse collar, he threw him down after he completed the pass, maybe justifying the penalty. But everybody said it was a
No.
bad penalty. That's what Trey was reacting
Yeah,
to.
and his whole
And then
body
on
weight was going the other direction. Once he grabs on, all of his force and his motion going in that direction is going to pull the guy down. He can't. There's no way to lightly bring him to the ground. So go
and
ahead.
then on top of it, I mean, I said it wouldn't end up mattering, but it very much ended up mattering on that same drive before halftime. Herbert clearly commits intentional grounding that would have been a 10-second runoff, and it would have been halftime, and it wasn't even called. I mean, even the rules official who never the rules officials never disagree with the call on the field. They never
Right.
disagree. And twice on that drive, he was like,
Right.
that was the wrong call, and it went against the Bengals. I mean, it was clear intentional grounding. There was no one close to Herbert. He threw it 2 rows on into the sideline, and um should have been a 10-second runoff, and
Yeah.
would have been halftime. So said Chargers got three free points.
Yeah. No. You know, like I said, I'm just shaking my head. I really thought, like I said, we were up, we were down, we were up. It was, I mean, I'm glad I was there. It was nice. It's my first, I've been to Monday night football games. I'd never been to a Sunday night football game. So, yeah, it was my first one of those, and to catch it with the Bengals and everything. But just, it's that's the story of our season. I mean, when you look at how many couldas, I hate using. I mean, the potential, right? The dreaded P word, potential. Of this team and where we are. So it's
The
you know,
bigger shame is that we're wasting a potential MVP season in Burrow, an offensive player of the year season in Chase, and a defensive player of the year season in
Henderson.
Hendrickson.
Yeah,
And the bigger issue is one full year of the window being burned. And with T likely gone and many others falling off this window, uh, we got to trust that this front office is going to make moves in the offseason to extend or continue the window. Fuck.
well,
There's a
you know,
lot of holes on this. I mean, frankly, we'll get into it, but you have to fill all three spots in the interior line, two or three spots on the defensive line, several spots in the cornerback. Although, how about Johnny Newton played a great game straight
Newton
out of
played
the
a great
bench.
game, and so did Turner before he got hurt. Turner gave
Yeah, and
himself up for that play. You know,
he did. I like the text that I sent to you guys. Salute to DJ Turner, went all out and lost the rest of the season on that play, but
yeah.
he completely sold and gave up his entire body for that play. It was awesome. Hats off to DJ Turner.
Yeah, no, and he'll be back next year.
Tragic.
But it's exactly, and we couldn't tell. In the stadium, obviously we don't get that was a good play for the Bengals, so we don't get the replay. So I couldn't tell why he was down and how serious it was. But then you sent us that text, and you told people around us. I said, "Yeah, it's his shoulder. He's probably done for the year." From what I hear, that is bad. So, and it was he broke his clavicle. So, it's yeah, you know. So let's talk about that. Let's jump in. I agree because Heath and I talked on the way home. I said I know that T has not been around as much as we would like to have had him, but I'm starting to really buy into what Jake was saying about we don't have anybody on the defense to spend money on. I mean, CTB, did they bench him in the second half because he was just okay?
Yes.
First half.
First half. So
he's unplayable.
Right. So I mean,
you have to now.
we don't have to pick up his fifth year option. We don't. I mean, the only place to spend money is Chase and Higgins.
He doesn't have a.
Oh yeah, that's right. So the only place to spend the money is Chase and Higgins. I'm thinking, and when Higgins is in the game, the offense, like I said, it opens things up for Chase. The whole thing. I think we should spend our money on, like you said, throw $250 million on the table and tell them to figure out how to split it up, but somehow try to keep him. I know it's
one
not.
problem.
What's that?
There's one problem. There's one problem in all of that. Throw out the injuries, throw out everything we've said, throw out everything I've said. I say things just for reaction sometimes. The biggest issue is that his agent is the agent that got Deshaun Watson 100% of a $250 million contract guaranteed.
But no,
and T's going to want 120 million and 110 of it guaranteed, and he'll get it somewhere.
No, but no, he's not. He's not getting that anywhere. I call complete bullshit on that. He's missed over 40% of the games over his career. He's not getting
Yeah.
that anywhere. No
So
one's
what's he going
giving
to
him
get?
that.
Realistically, what's he going to
I
get? If
we
Jamar
went
should get 4 for 160, what should T get?
look at the Michael Pittman Jr. and add 20%. The
What
Michael
was
Pittman
it? I don't
contract and
remember.
add 20%. He was I don't have it on top of me, but he was
I'll pull it up.
whatever that is, add 15, 20% to the guaranteed money. Wide receivers are not getting 90% guaranteed contracts.
Right.
Just because they're an agent. I mean, T's not that guy's only client. It's Rosenhaus, right? Like T's not his only client.
No, it's not Rosenhaus. It's the guy that I forgot his name, the guy that did Deshaun's contract.
Yeah, but how does
Um,
Deshaun's contract look right now to
but
other
that's
teams'
my
owners?
point. My
No, but I'm
point.
just saying.
You're saying other teams are going to see it and be like, no chance?
Well, they're not going to guarantee
Oh,
it. No one's
Mulgeta.
ever going to get that what Deshaun Watson contract again. And the owners were pissed at Haslam for doing that when he did it. So
So back to T. So Pittman got 3 for 70. You're saying add 20%. That's an extra 14 million. 3 years at 84 is
just under
18
30.
million.
No, 3 for 8.
28, yeah,
Yeah,
28.
just under 30. Right.
Okay,
And
here you go. Brandon Ayuk.
hang on. Wait, but back to the other problem. Bengals aren't going to, I mean, are they going to pay Chase? I mean, yes, they're going to pay Chase, but they're not going to give 80 to T and 230 million to, I mean, my 250 million was based on 150 to Chase, 100 to T. They're not doing that. Like those
Right.
were somewhat real numbers. They're not
Right.
doing that.
What were you going to say about the
Surprise.
Brandon Ayuk
Right.
contract? Because that's actually a good measuring
We got a
stick.
lot.
Higgins and Ayuk are the same agency, but they're different agents. But you can look at the Ayuk contract, which was a lot. I mean, but
120.
Ayuk hasn't missed his whole career. He just didn't really miss games until this year.
No.
Right.
And that was guaranteed 76 of 120, which the Bengals won't do, but Brandon Ayuk's
No.
probably a higher, at the time was a higher value than what T. Higgins is going into. But also T has a bargaining chip of like, look at what the offense looks like, look at what they do without me, which I
Right.
mean, I don't know if that's fair because Bengals were still elite without Higgins for 4 weeks, but
I have been, yeah.
Yeah. Well, to just say Burton got a lot of snaps in the first half.
Looked awful.
In his defense, Burrow was not sharp in the first half. A lot of those passes were not great passes. I mean, like I said, some are behind him or high, but
What'd you make of the target in the end zone to Burton?
I thought it was behind him. I thought it was high and behind him. No. Okay.
No, he
You've
went up
got,
with one.
once again, remember, we don't get replays.
No, that's why
Single
I'm
plays.
asking.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I'm
So from
asking.
our
No.
angle, I thought it was high and behind him, but we're on
No.
the other side, and that was at the other end zone. So I'm at the other end of the stadium. I'm looking at it from the 20-yard line on the other side of the field.
He tried to make a highlight reel one-handed catch, and his other arm was not. We saw it live on the broadcast that he went up with one hand. I'm like, he had to have gotten held because you could tell where the pass was, and
Right.
you got a great chance to make a play. He had to have been held, is what I said. They showed replays. His other arm was not being held for some stupid reason. He tried to make a superhero catch. If he goes up with two hands, I say, Jake, correct me if I'm wrong, 80 to 85% chance he makes the play and it's a touchdown.
And you know what? Then he's still got growing up to do because this isn't about him. This is about doing your job.
And the deep ball, I don't remember when it was. The deep ball down the right sideline, I don't know that it was, I'm not going to say it was a bad route, but he kind of went in when he needed to stay the line. Call it a bad read. Call it maybe he was just running off line. That one, I'm going to say 60 to 70% chance should have been completed.
All right. So my point was that Burton is not. If we don't re-sign T, Burton is not the immediate fill-in for T. Maybe he develops into it, and that's a huge maybe because of what we've seen in his. He's still very immature.
Yep.
So
yep, I go back to what I said last week that if we don't re-sign T, we 100 million% have to use a round 2 pick on a wide receiver, and it has to hit.
Go ahead.
I'm looking more at these contracts, and like I'm gonna say this now at this point in the year, because like I'll still exclamation mark what I said earlier about having no one on the defense is gonna need an extension because they already let DJ Reader and Jesse Bates walk for no reason. If they don't re-sign T, that's would be a joke. I mean, the Seahawks were able to keep Metcalf and Lockett for all these years.
Right.
Um, the Niners were able to do Ayuk and Debo. The Eagles were able to do, that's the big one. The Eagles were able to do AJ Brown and Devontae Smith contracts. I mean, like, what are we doing here? The Dolphins have Hill and Waddle. Like, all those teams have like stars on their defense that they're paying. They also have drafted a lot better than the Bengals have. But if the Bengals let T walk because they're cheap, then we're cooked.
Yeah.
And I just pulled up contracts that expire this year. I'm not even looking at contracts that they can get out of. First of all, Joseph Asai is up this year already. That's crazy. BJ Hill is up. Mike Hilton is up. Asai is up. Oh, our boy Jay Tufele is up. Cameron Sample, who cares? ADG is up. And that's really it. Goodbye, Von Bell. He's up. So, I mean, yeah, you Hill, Higgins, Asai are the only three players on defense that are up.
Well, I'm just segueing back because I forgot you just remind me of something. Late in the game, didn't we have a shot at a pick six? Was that Mike Hilton that had a chance at it? Burrow threw,
Yeah,
I mean,
he should have took it
Herbert
back.
threw underneath, and we actually.
He
So
should have had it.
yeah, there's another almost at the end of the game, but I had meant to mention that because we saw that, and I said, "Oh my gosh!" And I couldn't tell who it was. I thought it was Mike Hilton, but I thought it was 21.
Yeah,
But no reason.
speaking of contracts and how bad our defense is, do you think it's safe to say that Geno Stone with a 1.5 million dead cap hit will be off the team next year rather than
I
paying
doubt
him
it.
It's
I
because
doubt
we
it.
don't have anybody behind him. I mean, it's
somebody up off the street? How bad have our two safety free agent signings been the last 2 years? Nick Scott last year and Geno Stone this year.
Nick Scott. Geno Stone's better than Nick Scott, but yeah, but at both of them,
Oh, we got Nick Scott off the field and we're fine. And by the way, Jordan Battle's still not playing. He only had 2 tackles. I don't know how many snaps he had, but Jordan
He
Battle
played.
only had
he was out there.
He
I saw him
played.
out there. Yeah, I saw him out there. So, but
Geno Stone's awful and continues to tweet and talk about shit he shouldn't be talking about.
well, I would say,
he'll come back. He's 25. He'll come
yeah.
back.
No. I don't see him
$8
going
million when it's only $1.5 million to cut him.
Yeah, but
But you're gonna sign someone else for 6. So like, what's the point? He's young.
Yeah.
And
I agree. I agree with Jake. But that was a big conversation on the way home with Heath. Was I really think we need to figure out a way to do it.
no, they have to. There's literally no excuse. I mean, they're like next year you have your core of defensive players other than Trey Hendrickson, and the guys that are already extended are going to be Dax Hill, DJ Turner, and the corpse of Cam Taylor-Britt and Jordan Battle as well. Like, there's no one that's going to get an extension this offseason. There is literally no excuse to not re-sign Jamar and T in this offseason. I mean,
I agree.
it's going to take over $100 million of guaranteed money. But I mean, the Bengals have it. Like, the fact that people say they don't have, they have it. They have it.
Right. No, I agree.
And the other thing that you keep reading about, people keep posting is, and I think Zeitler goes a little too far, is, they let Wentworth walk to re-sign Zeitler. They let Zeitler walk, and it's a big gap to Bates, but they let Bates walk to sign T, and they're going to let T walk to sign Che. Like, at some point, just fucking sign somebody.
Well,
the common denominator in all of those things, though? The guys they drafted to replace them all sucked.
Yeah, that was it. I was going to say, okay.
Guys on the offensive line, all those guys on the offensive line, they took Cedric Abui in the first round. Jake Fisher was terrible. Not Fisher.
Right.
Wait, no. Wait.
No, that's
Jake Fisher.
exactly it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jake
it was
Fisher.
it
No,
was
you're right. You're
Cedric
right.
Abwehi and then Jake Fisher second, and that's why they thought they were covered and they let Whitworth walk, and that's why
Right.
I'm cautioning Burton is not. They think they drafted Burton and he's going to step into the T role next year on the cheap. That's not going to work. Burton's not there. We don't know he ever will be there. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But if you think that's another Cedric Abwehi. He had his own issues. He would let Dalton get sacked. Do we all remember this? Dalton would get blown up by the block he missed, and he would turn around and walk over where the huddle was. He wouldn't even go over and help his quarterback up and pull the piece of turf out of his helmet for him, on the sack he caused. I remember Ross Tucker just going off on him, saying this guy is nobody's teammate. And they let Witt walk because they had him on the roster. So
Yep.
it's exactly the
I
thing.
can tell you. So I'm looking at some of these cap hits. Next year, your center will be Matt Lee. Our center will be Matt Lee. Karras gonna get cut. He's awful.
Is he
Kappa
cuttable?
will probably come back. No, he's not cuttable. There's still 2 years left on. Or there's only 1 year left. He might cut Kappa, but I don't think Kappa's the problem. Karras is awful. And then left guard needs to be adjusted. They have the worst left guard in the league.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to cut Bolson. He's on a rookie contract. Keep him, and he can be a backup. But the other interesting one, Sam Hubbard's hit next year is only $2 million.
Yeah, his
They have the balls to.
He's gone too. I mean,
he's witness
he should be gone
protection.
too.
I mean, I just I have him as one of my linemen on my fantasy team. So I look at his stats. It was zero, not even an assist. Miles Murphy at least had an assisted tackle. He had nothing. Hubbard had
Yeah,
nothing.
And I'm going to say something.
He's either playing hurt or
he's just
go ahead.
Right. I was just I'm going to go two things, but Hubbard, it's one of those hats off. You gave us amazing memories. You are absolutely incredible. Go be with your family, bro. It's time. But hats off and thank you for everything.
Something about Hubbard and Karras is those are two high quality human beings. I mean, you have Hubbard's cupboards and all that, and Karras has done a lot, for the community, and it's just But in terms of we're fielding a roster here, not trying to found a nonprofit. So, but both of them are super high quality people.
Yeah, and speaking of which, Jake made the comment when we were watching the game. When guys were dropping like flies, McKinley Jackson's in, and I'm like, oh boy, what's going to happen here? And Jake's like, he has to play because he kind of has to be good. So let him freaking play. And you know what he did on his first snap? He made a hell of a play.
Yeah. So we saw him go in.
Jenkins got in there for run stuff too. Jenkins got in there,
but not lots and not. Newton did play wonderful. Newton was really good the time he was on the field. So that's that looks like a draft pick that's going to pan out. So liked him in the preseason too. I remember he had that one big game, and I said, "Well, Newton just made our roster." So, let's we're going to have a whole off-season show to discuss what the Bengals should do. But this is the bye week stuff you got to talk about. And the other thing I wanted to address is we've got 6 games left. I mean, 2 Steelers, right, and a Broncos. Those are hard games, okay? And then obviously we got the Titans, the Browns, and the Cowboys. So, I mean, but 3-3 is not going to get it cut. It's not going to get anything done. We're going to be the Kansas of the AFC if that's the case. We're going to be just playing spoiler in some of these games. And affecting the seeding or whether you make it or not. We're not going to, maybe we knock the Broncos out of the postseason. But literally, I don't know. Can we afford even one loss?
Yes, kind of. So
9-8.
The key, one of the biggest keys is, let me pull it up here and go side by side. So we're 2 games behind Denver. Obviously going to have to beat them to have a chance. Otherwise, it's all moot. Denver plays Kansas City week 18. The other interesting thing about that is if Kansas City has everything wrapped up, they're not going to play in week 18. Kansas City only leads Pittsburgh by 1 game for the number 1 seed. If Pittsburgh can somehow beat Kansas City on Christmas Day, then that probably, and Buffalo's only, that would leave Pittsburgh, Buffalo, and Kansas City all with 2 losses, not accounting for any other games.
And then they'd have to
And
play week 18.
right. So I'm going to put on, I've been back and forth all year long. I'll put on my I'm drinking the Kool-Aid hat. If the Bengals can figure out how to beat Pittsburgh coming out of the bye at home, and theoretically, not theoretically, will be favored in the next 3 games against Dallas, Tennessee, and Cleveland. And frankly, well, if they win those 4, they'll be favored against Denver as well. You can make a case the Bengals win 5 straight games, and then depending on, let's look at, I forgot to pull up Denver's schedule. Denver at Raiders, they should win. Home Browns, they should win. Colts should win at Chargers. They could lose that. Then us and the Chiefs. Denver could go 3-3.
Right.
So we go 5-1 and beat Denver, we're in the playoffs.
Right. All right.
And now, look, I ain't saying that.
I agree. Listen,
possibilities. That's my 10-minute explanation on what needs to happen.
And critical in your is that Pittsburgh beats Kansas City, so Kansas City has the incentive to play their entire schedule. Have to.
Right. We're also a game behind the Colts, so they'd need to lose one. I don't know how we'd fare in tiebreakers with them. They get the Lions, which should be a loss, at the Patriots, which could be a good ball game. But then they're home Tennessee, at the Giants, home Jaguars. Theoretically, they could win 3 straight. Colts Broncos is going to be a very interesting game in 2 weeks. I couldn't even tell you right now who we want to win that game. It's going to depend then.
Right.
But yeah, the Colts have to lose one. And I'm going to assume, because we have so many NFC losses, I'm going to assume we're going to need the Colts to lose 2 also.
Right. You mean AFC losses? I don't think the interconference.
NFC wins. So many of our wins are NFC.
Yeah. I got you to say, yeah, our AFC record. Yeah.
Right.
No.
Right.
Well, if we beat the teams with Tennessee, we get an AFC win. If we can beat the Steelers, that's an AFC and a division win. Cleveland's an AFC and a division win. Cowboys doesn't help us in that record, but yeah, it's going to be. We have to see how we come out at the bye. How this team comes out mentally and I mean, because they can't. Steeler games, we lose Steelers, it's over. Season's over, we're spoiler. It's literally that simple.
Yep. And then if we lose to Pittsburgh, I will guarantee we win 4 out of 5 and wind up with a 17 pick instead of the 10 pick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Where are we right now? Somebody tweeted out something about with the 7th overall pick. So are we right? Are we? No. I like I said, I didn't know if that was accurate or not. I just saw.
We're 11, and Carolina, Dallas, New Orleans are better than us, with Miami, Tampa Bay, Chicago. Better in the standings, but a worse draft pick.
Right. Okay. We'll have to see how that plays out. But, I don't lose games to go from 14 to 12. But, it's the other thing is you start playing your bench more. Let's see what we have. Because now we got to start looking towards the draft. But let's come out. Like I said, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid with you. I'm not
drinking any Kool-Aid, Mark. I'm just planting the scenario.
Right. Well, I'm just saying I'm holding out hope that we can come out of the bye. But we had an extended time to get ready for the Chargers, and we didn't win the game. So
Jake, give your line that you've said on your podcast and you've said to me, and I know you know which line I mean.
That is it the one where I said that we've had 5 games this season where our season's been on the line and we've lost all of them?
Yeah, that's my response to that, Mark. He said that. That's perfectly said.
Yeah, no, facts. Not going to argue that. So everything on the Steelers coming up. So yeah. It's it hasn't been the season. When we go back and watch our preseason show, we were talking about we only saw 4 losses on the schedule, and we were thinking, hey, Super Bowl's in New Orleans. We had what on paper looked like a soft schedule, and then we did.
No,
we just didn't.
We still do.
Yeah.
Right.
So. But
Mark, if you take out these 5 plays, we're 9-2.
Well, you can't take out the 5 plays, so we're not.
No, hang on. First of all, yes, you can. It's called variance. It's how NFL works. To like, you know how much luck the Lions have had this year to be nine
Oh,
and one.
fun.
Like you need luck to be on your side. Yes, the biggest players of the Bengals season all went against them, and it's been a season from hell. And the guys have gotten hurt. Yes, like you can't just disregard the fact that you need luck on your side to have a good record. Like you can't just dominate teams. It's not how the league works. So
Look at the
like
Vikings 2 years ago and the Giants 3 years ago. They got every
no, but
break.
no, those were constructually bad teams and why they won zero playoff games. But
Okay, they got
like the
lucky.
stuff like the Lions, like to be 9-1, like the Lions had 200 yards against the Titans and scored 50 points. Like you
Yeah,
need luck to be
no.
on the side. Like
How about the Chiefs this year? Those
Oh,
variance numbers
well,
pay
yeah, the
off
block
too.
field goal against Denver. I mean, it's like the call against us. I mean, right there are two games they should have lost. So yeah, it's you know, Packers getting that block, getting the missed field goal at the end. Just this last weekend. I mean, we haven't gotten even one of those games, where we got the break. So, but here we are. We are 4-7, and we go from there. So, Jake, you gotta let's lift this up a little bit because I know. Let's give us that pick. Oh, you were gonna go with
Wait, can I say
oh, go
one more
ahead.
thing?
No, yeah,
Jake,
absolutely. Throw it out there. So wait to do it.
Because Jake called it one of his favorite plays and one of the best plays Joe Burrow ever made. Late in the fourth quarter, maybe earlier in the fourth quarter, should have been sacked by two guys, rolled out, had a clear 10-yard path to run for the first down, and hits Chase Brown over a defender in front of another one. It was, Jake's comment was the trust that he showed to throw the ball and in Chase Brown. It was absolutely spectacular, and that was unbelievable. I mean, Joe Burrow is just absolutely freaking amazing.
Oh,
And anybody that tweets in the aftermath of games, yeah, but Burrow missed this play. He had Chase on an open touchdown when he hit Yoshavash in the fourth quarter. Fuck you. This guy's doing everything just to keep us in
oh,
all of the game. We haven't been blown out of a game other than the Philadelphia game late, and we were in that game for 2.5 quarters.
right. No,
I mean,
this is
if we're what we played 11 games, if we're I mean, we could do a whole show on this, and I'm just saying, if we're 6-5 and in the middle of the 6 and 7 seed right now, Joe
right.
Burrow's in serious consideration for the MVP.
Agreed. Isn't he the first quarterback as a 2 or 300-yard games, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions? No, but I don't think anybody else, and lost all the games. Yeah, I don't think that's been done. It's there's some really wacky, figures. You just shake your head. That's all you can do as a Bengals fan. Just shake your head. So,
I'm gonna say one more thing on the T thing. The only players that the Bengals have that are under contract through 2026, so that's not next year, but the year after. So the next two more full seasons that the Bengals have under contract that weren't drafted in the last 2 years. There's Joe Burrow, Orlando Brown, Logan Wilson, Drew Sample, and Evan McPherson. That's it. So if you think that they can't extend T,
no, there's no.
They can. Everybody knows they can. It's just, will they?
Right.
And it goes back to that guaranteed money has to go into escrow. And as wealthy as the Brown family is, it's the cash up front. They've got to take the cash and put it in an escrow account.
Right.
And you made the comment, and you're probably pretty damn close, if not accurate. It's going to take $100 million to sign them both. How much did they have to put into escrow last year for Burrow? I don't remember the number. But are they going to put another 100? It was a guarantee. It was over 100 million. Are they going to put another 100 million in cash in a bank account and invest it into the
probably
team?
146.
Yeah, it'll be like 150 between the two receivers. Well, we're already saying it's going to be like 90.
Oh, right,
yeah,
right,
and then yeah, so it's going to be over, at least 100 and I'd say 150. Figure on that for the guarantee between Chase and him.
Probably 80 and 60. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So, I don't know, but they need to do it. I saw a podcast earlier. I can't remember who it was. It was just a clip on either X or I don't remember where I saw it, but they were saying, once again, the only way we got what's that?
Was it the blonde woman?
Yeah, she was saying you
Yeah,
gotta not spend your
I
money,
tweeted that.
and that was I was preaching that during the Marvin Lewis era. I was saying don't go to the games, don't because the money that the owner gets to keep and doesn't have to share is parking revenue, concession revenue at the stadium, things like that. Season ticket holder money. That's the only money they don't throw into the pot. Everything else gets thrown into the pot and split. Jersey sales, all that other stuff, but you want to hit Mike Brown and the Blackburns. Yeah, don't pay for parking. If you don't go to the game, you don't pay for parking. It's how LA got rid of McCord. I mean, that was the unofficial boycott of McCord. You go to the games, they only announced the paid attendance. There was only 20,000 people in the stands, and they were all for the opposing team. No Dodger fans came out because they were angry with Frank McCord treating the team like an ATM machine. And you feel it. Parking money, concession money, you feel it.
I respectfully disagree. It's been well documented that in all the major sports, any revenue that takes place at the stadium is absolute peanuts compared to the TV revenue and the merchandise and the league-wide revenue that they get, and it doesn't impact decisions for salaries. Like everybody always jokes, what do I care if the Dodgers sign Juan Soto and give him 600 million? I'll pay an extra 50 cents for a hot dog or an extra dollar for a Dodger dog. It just doesn't work like that. It's peanuts compared to the money they get. So I respectfully disagree. Maybe it's a little different with the Browns because there's not another business venture, but I don't agree with the revenue that takes place in the stadium moving the needle.
Well, it's the only money they get to keep. Like you said, you buy a Joe Burrow jersey, that gets thrown into the pile of NFL merchandise and
They're
split between
splitting
all the
10
teams.
billion
Well,
from
I don't
CBS and Fox and
baseball
ESPN and NBC and Peacock and Amazon and Netflix.
Well, but baseball has 81
baseball's
home games. So you start cutting into 81. Now you're moving the needle where you're multiplying it out with the extra digit. It's not
But baseball specifically, I've read. I'm more in the weeds of baseball, and baseball specifically says that in-stadium revenue is meaningless to these owners.
wow. Okay. All right.
I don't
maybe
know.
what maybe in baseball for Dodgers who have, the Dodgers and
Yeah,
Yankees, the
and
Yankees own their own TV network. So they
right.
have the national revenue and the local revenue and the shared revenue for the league. Um, the Bengals did wow. In 2023, the Bengals and the Dodgers did the exact same revenue, 549 million.
Wow.
The exact same.
Hmm.
But that's the NFL makes a lot more money than MLB. So
Right. So
Is
yeah.
that all in revenue, Jake, or is that stadium game day revenue? Is that all in
just
from?
all in with TV, merchandise, broadcast rights,
Yeah.
sponsorships.
So I think that kind of goes to my point. If they brought in $545 million with 8 home games, revenue they're generating in home games is peanuts.
Right.
I don't
Well,
know. Maybe I'm wrong. That's where I'm at.
well, and I've said before, the one thing that gets Zach Taylor replaced is if Burrow says replace Zach Taylor. Because
Let's hope.
if the Brown family and the Blackburns have to choose between Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow, they're going to choose Joe Burrow. I mean,
So
he's the guy putting asses in seats. That's plain and simple. He and Chase are the guys putting asses in seats. So,
75% of the Bengals revenue came from national TV money.
Right.
104 of the 549 was operating income, which I'm sure means like ticket sales and
right.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Crazy.
So
And then the scary thing on what you about letting Taylor go, and we didn't even talk about, McPherson's contract. I read yesterday there's an out where it only cost us a $2 million hit versus the $4 million salary if they let him go after this year. The old Mike Brown line where I don't like to pay people not to work.
yeah, no, he
Zach,
won't. No,
Zach
we
Taylor's
know that. That's his history.
Zach Taylor's getting $4.5 million for 2 more years.
Yeah, and the thing is that look how long he stuck with Marvin, who couldn't win a playoff game. I mean, Zach Taylor took us to 2 AFC Championship games and got one of them to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that was because of Zach Taylor, but I'm just saying if he gave Marvin the leash where he couldn't even win a playoff game, and did replace him, the like
Yep.
I said, the only thing that's going to get him out of the building is Burrow putting his foot down. And whether or not he does, I don't know. I don't know what their relationship is, you know. So, but Jake, were you gonna say something? You look like
Yep.
you were. So, all right. Well, why don't you give us that? I want that. You give us that other money line pick. Is Kansas an underdog again this week? Who do they play? I didn't look at the schedule yet.
Kansas Kansas is
Colorado.
an underdog. They will host, well, technically host because they're playing at Arrowhead. Uh, they will host Colorado. So we're going
Ooh.
with Kansas again as a dog. They're going to play spoiler in the Big 12 and fuck things up. There is still a situation, by the way, where, oh, fuck, what team was it? It was a situation in the Big 12 where TCU and Baylor can both make the conference championship game.
Really?
There's
Well,
still a
TCU
situation.
has a big
Yep.
game.
Big,
TCU would have a game late in the season that has a no.
They don't have a big game this weekend, that's for damn sure.
Right. No, but late in the season, there's because they were pointing to one. Oh, it was Miami. I said Miami playing TCU. Miami, but they were talking about which
mm,
team would disappoint and fall out, and they were saying Miami has a game late in the year where they would have to win that
they
game.
go to Miami goes to Syracuse next week,
So
last week of
no,
the year.
this is down the road.
Well, there's only 2 weeks left.
Right, right. So
Yeah,
what's the game after Syracuse?
I'm
That's it.
looking.
That's the end of the regular season. There's only 2 weeks left. There's this week and next
They
week.
would have who would be their conference championship game?
SMU most likely.
SMU.
That's what it was. SMU, not TCU. Okay. Yeah, no, if they were to lose that game, then they're gonna get bounced. So, but yeah, no, I
Oh,
was
they're
confusing
absolutely
my
out.
TCU SMU, so that was what it was. All right. Yeah, I can't I thought it kind of clicked when you said TCU still has a chance because I don't even think of them in the mix. Yeah, it's got to be a real small percentage. What's the money? Are you money lining or are you saying take the points with Kansas against
Let's take the points. 2.5,
okay.
3, whatever you can get.
You got it. No, no,
But
no.
they'll win the game outright.
I'll buy it up to the field goal. That's always worth it. So, all right. Well, let's wrap things up here. Like I said, if you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It's all we ask. It's a show by fans, for fans. We do this for you. Just support the channel. Hit the bell. Our next preview will go up. We'll be previewing the Steeler game a week from Thursday. We'll take this weekend off. And Jake, tell them where they can find all your stuff.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at Jake Circus and then Jake Circus Pod on Spotify.
All right. So, with that, hey, everybody have a great weekend. You can pick any game you want to watch, and I'm gonna be on Kansas. I'm gonna drink the Kool-Aid again because Jake, you've delivered with a couple big money lines this year. So I thank you. I think those are key. Those are key parlay bringers, man. With those picks. So I really appreciate it. And I'm gonna say, hoot, everybody. Take care.
Who dat?